Hello, MGTOW. Hello, men. This is Howard Dare. Thanks for stopping by. So, I want to talk to you about the power of a strong man because the influence, the effect of a strong, healthy man or male within this given social dynamic or any given social dynamic is in fact necessary, stabilizing, reassuring, building with a prosperous future in mind. Now, the others who are not so inclined, they resent this and they see this as kind of threatening, right? What they don't realize is that at this level, it is in fact benevolent. As a matter of fact, the benevolency is what actually allows it to move forward with the confidence and the assurance that it needs to actually do what it's trying to do. And what I'm talking to you about is merely Trump's presence in the presidency, all right, is a statement in and of itself. Joe Biden's weakness, sickness, capitulation, a kind of morality as weakness approach to life and even political discourse. You know what I mean? Wow, that's really unsettling on a fundamental level, and this isn't as complex as, I can make it out to be. This is as simple as whether or not a child has confidence in their teacher or a new adult who walks into the room, or hell, let's even take it down to a baser level, whether or not a dog feels comfortable in your presence and company, okay? When the strong leader is present, when the strong individual, doesn't even have to be like a leader, we don't even need that, just the strong, independent, healthy individual comes into the situation, this is a stabilizing factor. And we have that now in the American presidency. Merit-based, rationally based, able to fulfill the functions and duties of the job. Press conferences, strategy, and yes, tactics along the way. Right? And if I believe that a lot of what Trump says is negotiation, is if foreign countries do not deal fairly with us on economic trade issues, that yes, they can expect tariffs. That is not the same as saying we're enforcing tariffs now. It's a negotiation, and it has to come from power. It has to come from a position of stability. One of the fundamental human needs is certainty, all right? It's very hard to place. I was walking down a flight of stairs and there was no light and I couldn't see. And I was about to take a step and I was like, hold up, this isn't, no, let's turn on a light and let's clear the vision. Let's at least do that, right? So the strong male presence is that. And what we have been experiencing and what we still experience is a fundamental resistance to this, to assertiveness. We could go into a deeper philosophical conversation about this. It is a fundamental respect of life and human dignity and private property and individual rights. All right? When you meet a person who embodies these things, they set your mind at ease as far as primary objectives are concerned. In other words, this person is doing the right thing for the right reasons, and they're trying to do it in the right way, even though they're not perfect. And this, I believe, is our fundamental credo of America, of Western civilization, trying to do the right thing in the right way, even though we are not perfect. And the left comes at this from a dependent child point of view, of an angry point of view. But don't think that they are emotional children, even though that is dictating much of how they behave. No, these are some of the most intelligent and the most highly educated. And certainly they would suggest the most compassionate of people, right? But I had mentioned it earlier, and it's a Nietzschean idea, morality as weakness, as a capitulation to the status quo. It's not actual morality unless it has this fundamental, healthy governing principle. And even though I can't directly articulate it, you can sense it and feel it when you're in its presence, much in the same way that a strong rooster can take a cackle of hens that are fighting amongst themselves, and by its simple presence, by simply what it is, can have this profound effect. I, Howard Dare, speak on issues that concern me, and I have done so for some time. And now I've forgotten what I was talking about, right? So nobody's perfect. Independent of what I say is how I say it. Independent of how I say something is how it makes, inspires, or perhaps motivates the person listening to it. What is my goal? Is my goal to simply give out information? I could read a textbook to you. I could read a textbook to you that I myself don't understand, right? Is that knowledge? Is that assurance? Is that me helping you in some way? If I were to read the rules of, good exercise to you, no. It would not. It would annoy and harass you. It would become a stressor. This is what happens to some of our most intelligent, highly educated people. In doing so, they become very resentful and angry. Is this the way that a good parent teaches a child? By reading the rules to them? Of course not. It's more about motivating people to want to do what's in their best interest. And you see, again, this comes back to a principle that's very hard to articulate. I don't want what's best for me. I mean, I do, but that's for me. But for you, I want what's best for you. And I don't see these things as being in any sort of conflict. As a matter of fact, the situation that will allow you to rise up and to achieve and to accomplish the things that you want to accomplish is the same environment that will allow me to rise up, to achieve, and to accomplish. And it is the same environment that will allow my children, I don't have any children, to rise up and achieve in that environment. And this is the strength and the wisdom and the power of the strong male that I'm speaking to you about. It's not just a set of rules. It's not just patriarchal oversight. It is the expression of nature. It is the fruition of evolution. And I'm not suggesting that this becomes, like a tooth and claw conflict, because even if it did, still the rational, informed, compassionate, but focused drive would still prevail. We will prevail. We may lose everything in the process. We may have to go through quite a lot, but we will prevail because it's inevitable, even if there's failure along the way. This is the assurance of the strong male presence. This is the gift and the blessing of creating such a system, even though we are not perfect. And this, of course, is why we are vulnerable to this self-serving, selfish, short-sighted selfishness, kind of like human beings being possessed by your 7 deadly sins, human nature. There's weakness there. And, the struggle and the overcoming and the embracing of the challenge is where we find our strength and redemption. But you can understand why people shy away from it or become so damaged by it or are at such a disadvantage within it that they embrace this negative, fault-finding, entitlement, angry, bitter way of life, way of looking at the world, almost like the mind of Cain, as opposed to embracing the opportunity, the blessings, the challenges, rising to them. Now, men have felt that this is not possible for many years now, like their whole lives. And the young men, they haven't experienced anything different. I was talking about this 5 years ago, right? And it was like, well, you're being somewhat pessimistic, Howard Dare. And it's like, no, I wasn't. And now we're starting to see, this is the federal mandated end of DEI. Of course, that isn't the end of DEI and, what it represents. But federally, perhaps, or, officially, right? But it's not the rule. It's the consistent presence over time, standing up for what's right, standing against what's selfish, misguided, short-sighted. This is the strong masculine way. What other choice do you have? What other choice do I have? I suppose I could become angry and bitter and blame others And I believe that that's what our modern left does. And rather than reach for what I'm speaking about, and I'm not suggesting that I've attained such a thing, rather than reach for that and make their lives better and the world a better place, no, they adopt this other attitude, this leftist, negative, nihilistic, bitter attitude. And it leads to trying to tear everything down, right? Here's your fundamental difference. Your system isn't perfect, but we can make it better. Or your system isn't perfect. Let's tear it all down and burn it to the ground. What's it going to be? This largely determines your approach to life. This largely determines your philosophical outlook on life. This largely determines how it's going to be for anybody, even yourself, who has to live with you and be around you. I've encountered people that their basic philosophical outlook, their resentment, their anger, their bitterness, their blaming, their entitlement, and perhaps, to a degree, the real damage that has been done to them. But I don't see how a plant could live in their presence. I don't see how an animal, a pet, could live in their presence. I don't see how they could dedicate the care to take care of a plant or a fish or a bird. And of course, it's a million times worse for any human being that actually has to be in close contact on a regular basis with them. These are anti-life people. They may not know it, but their entire expression of what they're doing throughout the day is anti-life, anti-achievement, pro-death, pro-blame, pro-resentment, pro-hatred, pro-anger, pro-unhealthiness, the exact opposite of your strong, healthy, confident man. I find it very reassuring, kind of like a superhero cartoon from when I was a kid, like the Mr. Clean commercials from when I was a child. Yeah, they still have those commercials. The strong, good, benevolent father figure. This very idea, this very concept, this very virtue has been torn to the ground and thrown into the gutter and spit upon, even though we live in the greatest civilization and the greatest system that mankind has ever known, with the possibilities that are virtually endless. So let that give you some hope. Let that lift your spirits, and I think it's a natural cycle that, having fought through this and been through so much darkness, that the sun also rises, that on the other side of all of this woke, cultural, leftist, socialist, communist, weak, dependent, slavish, and yet destructive and demonic nightmare that we have been dealing with, also comes to an end, reveals itself for what it is. I'm very curious what you guys thought about Elon Musk's Hitler salute, when he tapped his heart and raised his hand up to the sky. Right now, the mainstream media characterized that as a Nazi salute, That's the level. That's where they're at now. And let them, well, it's not my place to comment on all of that, but it's meaningful, isn't it? Right? They're not talking about the issues. They're not talking about the plans. They're not talking about the pros and the cons. Oh no, they're just trying to inflame your feelings. Just trying to get you angry, just trying to get you upset, and just trying to lie to you, to manipulate your emotions. That's what it's become. That's why I stay away from, certain types of content. And I don't judge those who, go into that type of content, but it's, I don't like it. It's not for me, right? I'm glad there's other people who will deal with it. There's a couple of MGTOW videos that I've been wanting to make, or that I thought I, kind of obligated to make, like, the Los Angeles, fire captain, the black lesbian, right? That's, hey, don't be judging me for saying that. That's her calling card, right? That's why she's the fire chief. And she has said as much, right? It's amazing, isn't it? It's like somebody saying that they can't fly the plane, but, they're black and they're a lesbian. So hop aboard, right? Climb aboard. Amazing. And, the amazing part is that the person actually saying it doesn't realize what's wrong with that. You know what I mean? And I've experienced this where I'm at. Like, we've got the Thanksgiving turkey ready to go, and somebody comes up and says, I'm going to cook the turkey. And it's like, have you ever done this before? And the answer is no. And it's like, but I've had family members who have done it before, right? So a level of madness and narcissism that we have allowed, or that nature itself has allowed to fester and to grow. And like a cancer, it has come to its fruition, and now the host dies. as California burns. I wonder how many people who are part of our modern left, who believe in our DEI practices, who live in Los Angeles, who have lost their homes. I wonder how they feel about it now. And I don't mean to be crass, because of course, I have great compassion for, they lost their homes. But did you not think that your policies would lead to utter incompetency? How could you not foresee that? If you're not hiring people on merit and their ability to do a job, but rather on their victim status, or their identity politics status, when the time comes to do the job and they can't do the job, how could you be surprised if you're picking your doctors because of, they have, I'm sorry. So hard for me to say, hard for me to talk about, difficult subjects. Let's see where this all leads, right? Let me know what you think about this in the comment section below. Please like, share, comment, subscribe, donate. Find my Cash App donation link, click on it, and do what you can for the Howard Dare channel. I'll put it to good use. And join me again, Howard Dare, as I plan to have more content for you. Thank you, MGTOW.